Joe Biden pledged to decriminalise cannabis use. He ain't done that, but he has pledged to release all people in prison solely for cannabis possession. So that's, carry the ones. Nobody!
Thank you for choosing Fox 4 News.
No, here's the Fox News.
Hello there, you 6 million awakening wonders. Turn on the notification bell right now and subscribe to this channel. More important even than that, watch us on Rumble every day at these times where we do deep dives into the stories that matter. Now, let's see what's in the news today. You'll remember that when Joe Biden was campaigning to be president, a glorious time that fortunately ended with Joe Biden as president, he said he was gonna decriminalise cannabis. He wasn't gonna go to Saudi Arabia and do deals with them. He was gonna make them a pariah. He was going to put caps on big pharma prices. Now, he hasn't really done any of those things. What he's done is fudged versions of those things that are kind of gestures, empty, hollow, shallow gestures that don't really help anybody. And nothing demonstrates this mentality more clearly than what began as a pledge to decriminalise cannabis. It actually, as a piece of propaganda, looked quite good. Let's have a look.
As I said when I ran for president, no one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana.
That's hypnosis is going on there. He's trying to trick us into thinking that what he said when he ran for president is no one should be in prison. But that isn't what he said. He said it would be decriminalised. That's different. That's legally different. So he's only been talking about half a second and there's already been a lie. I suppose we should be grateful that he got to the end of the word.
No one should be in jail just for using or possessing marijuana.
At a federal level, no one is in prison for that. It's an unnecessary, pointless pledge. At a state level, there are some people, but he's not doing anything about that. It's the very essence of pointlessness. As a person who has drug addiction in his family, I would imagine that Joe Biden would be sympathetic to the fact that drugs are either recreational and therefore nobody's business because it's just leisure, or a mental health issue, as it is with like me, and it seems that it is with his son Hunter. In which case, people should generally be sympathetic and it should be treated as a health issue. He's quite right. No one should be in prison at federal level. Thankfully, no one is. What other problems can we solve? I don't want any more caterpillars chewing on my tits. Well, is it happening? No. Well, that's dealt with.
It's already legal in many states, and criminal records for marijuana possession have led to needless barriers to employment, to housing, to educational opportunities. And that's before you address the racial disparities around who suffers the consequences.
So what this is yet more what I would call pretend politics. Stuff that looks like something's happening, but nothing really is happening. Because I imagine the process was something like this. We said we would decriminalise marijuana and cannabis use. It was quite a popular thing. You can't do that because of lobbyists for the prison industry need the prison population to be relatively stable. Maybe people that are Republican or right-wing or whatever you want to describe it as, you use your own words, like they might be anti the idea of people that are drug dealers being released. All right, well, what can we do? Some sort of hollow gesture? Let's do a hollow gesture then.
Stop minute there and welcome to Mika Reaction Reviews, where we react to review to things on the internet. And today we are returning with Russell Brand, and he's debunking the praise that I've seen some commentators giving Joe Biden, decriminalizing marijuana on a federal level. I believe that's what it is, or the idea that he was releasing all these prisoners who got arrested for marijuana possession. I even saw Joe Rogan kind of giving Biden applause for this, but the reality is that 0 people have been released from prison for marijuana possession. This is most likely, like he said, hollow promises, pandering, lip service that so many people time and time again keep falling for. I don't know why. And even he kind of touched on his idea of capping how much the big pharma or pharmaceutical companies can make or something like that. There was some bill that was passed. Also, pandering, lip service, nothing's actually really happened. And a lot of times what would happen is that they will present these bills, but it doesn't go into effect till 5, 3, 7 years later, but then they quietly change the bill and get rid of it altogether. And most people, because they have goldfish memories, just forget it ever happened. But in the meantime, when they present the lip service and pandering to you, they get accolades, pats in the backs, awards, applause, and then they can run on it or campaign for it, but it really has done nothing. I don't know all the ins and outs of the bill. I will let Russell Brand sort of explain that, but I'm pretty sure the thank yous that he was getting from people was empty. Because again, not one person has been released from prison for, again, marijuana possession. I do agree that it should be decriminalized. I do agree that people should not spend time in prison for them freely putting whatever they want in their body. I've already said I think drugs should be legalized but heavily regulated. But anyway, let's continue.
Just shouldn't.
So today, I'm taking 3 steps.
Well, don't go in the wrong direction on the second one, is what I'd say. One over there, one over there. Oh no, which way's the stage?
First, I'm announcing a pardon for all prior federal offenses for the simple possession of marijuana. There are thousands of people who are convicted for marijuana possession.
But not at a federal level, Joe. Not at a federal level. Did anyone explain this to you?
Second, I'm calling on all governors to do the same for state marijuana possession offenses.
Calling on? Does that amount to making a couple of phone calls? Hey, it's Joe. Joe who? Joe Biden. Joe Biden? Yeah, the president. What are you calling for, Joe? Oh, I don't remember.
Third, the federal government currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule I substance, the same as heroin and LSD, and more serious than fentanyl.
And fentanyl, you can make a good profit on that if you tell people it doesn't kill them, which, oh, shit.
I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Attorney General to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled under federal law.
This pledge amounts to a person telling you that they're going to ask for something.
I'm asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
That's not enough, is it, for the Commander-in-Chief? Well, I'm going to give him a damn good asking. And what if the asking don't work? Well, then it's over to the sighing and rolling my eyes. Will you decriminalize cannabis? No. And if that doesn't work, that's when I bang my fist on the desk.
It's time that we right these wrongs.
Look at the difference between the rhetoric and the reality. I call it the rhetoric-reality gap. The rhetoric is decriminalise cannabis. The reality is nobody is affected by this policy in any way that's meaningful. It therefore, for me, qualifies as propaganda when approaching the midterms. Look at the pharmaceutical caps that were placed.
I'll stop it there because I want to give it a section when he talks about the pharmaceutical cap, because that was also, again, bullshit, lip service, pandering, and it actually resulted in nothing. And again, yeah, the President of the United States going, I promise I will ask questions about a thing, and then maybe get back to you if you remember I ever even said this. Basically, that's what he's saying. And it's like, how long has marijuana been illegal? You had all this time. Joe Biden been in government for like 60 years to ask these questions, but now you're just going to ask a question, and we're supposed to all stand up and applaud for you and then re-elect. Anyway, let's continue.
The time it was revealed, it wouldn't meaningfully impact the pharmaceutical industry. How can you say, we beat pharma this year, if pharma will not be affected? Imagine if you had a fight with someone, and at the end of the fight, the other person wasn't affected. Could you say, I beat that person just then? You couldn't, could you? You've not affected them. Joe Biden repeatedly promised on the 2020 campaign trail that he would pardon everyone serving time in federal prisons for marijuana and expunge their records. Last week, he seemed to belatedly carry out on that promise, announcing with great fanfare that he was issuing thousands of pardons. The problem is that he's now reinterpreted his previous talk of releasing everyone in federal prison for marijuana in such a narrow way that his pardon won't release even one federal prisoner. Even one! Like, imagine if it was like one and you could like watch them come out like, there you go, look. Thanks, man. It only applies to federal convictions for simple possession, a crime for which literally no one is currently serving time in federal prison. No one. There's no prisoner. And this is the possession wing in our federal prison. Crickets, crickets, no one, no one. Lovely empty landing. Biden.
This is why it's important to read the fine print and to actually read articles of things and not just the headlines. Anyway, let's continue.
Also announced the beginning of a process that might eventually lead to marijuana being taken off Schedule 1, the federal government's classification for the most dangerous drugs with no accepted medical uses. Can you see that Biden also announced the beginning of a process that might eventually lead to marijuana being taken off Schedule 1? Might eventually? That's the presidential pledge, is it? I'm going to call some people, I'll be calling on them to decriminalise marijuana, and I might take it off Schedule 1. That's not the kind of strident, vibrant presidency that America deserves. Might might and trying and asking. Where does power really lie when the best a president can do is might and maybes and asking, while pharmaceutical giants can sort of like wrench us into a situation where medicines are almost mandated without being trialed for efficacy? Where is real power? The reason that everyone giggles and laughs when they see Biden fluffing his lines and stumbling over words is because it reveals what we all deep down know to be true. There's no real power there. That is simply a vessel, a mouthpiece for actual power. The Democrat Party is owned by lobbyists. I would contest, so are the Republican Party. Everything beyond that is a meaningless spectacle that we engage with to varying degrees, knowing deep down in our heart of hearts that that channel will never lead to any meaningful change. And this is yet another example of that. Decriminalising cannabis might take it off Schedule 1, not one prisoner released. Meaninglessness. Meaningless. So if you've seen any TV shows where people are going, hey, Joe Biden released, all going jokes and treating it all light and like it's, Joe better not smoke any, he's forgetful enough as it is, and all that sort of light, high crap. Really, what should be happening is serious opposition to this kind of senseless, nihilistic, plastic governance.
I completely agree. I feel like it does, like we all know, like what is that saying? The world is a stage and we're all players in it. We all kind of know that is a joke, and we all kind of know nothing really is going to come of this, but we pretend to believe in the lip service and the pandering, and people can run with it and, like you said, give them applause and stuff like that, where everyone knows is a joke. Everyone knows it's all empty. Everyone knows nothing will come of it, but we do it anyway. And everyone does it, left, right, center. You elect your politicians and your candidates, and you kind of all know that is really anything gonna change? Is really anything, like, if until they get rid of money out of government, like you said, the lobbyists who control the Democrats and the Republicans, until that happens, you can guarantee that their agenda and keeping themselves in power will always come before you and I. So again, until that happens, you can vote and you can elect, and maybe you can pause some things and change some things, tweak some things here and there. But is it really ever gonna change? The government is always just going to fucking government. But anyway, let's continue.
All in all, it's a baby step in the right direction. Who cares where babies go? But it falls well short of his campaign promise and leaves thousands of people languishing in federal prison for non-violent marijuana offences. The pardon does not cover convictions for possessions of other drugs or for charges relating to producing or distributing marijuana. We've been trained to accept piecemeal and gestural politics as opposed to the real thing. If you're going to get into drug use and narcotics, really what ought to happen is some wide-scale decriminalisation, meaningful control over those substances, available therapies for people with addiction issues. What's happening here is like they're trying to find the narrow crack through which you can appear to be doing something without offending genuine powerful interests, isn't it? Like, can't offend the prison lobby and their, powerful privatised interests and their lobbying groups. Can't offend whatever other interests are involved. I don't know, tobacco, alcohol, people that are really just dead against any sort of moral decline. So through that tiny gap that exists between those opposing sets of ideas, you can just get like a meaningless pipsqueak fart of policy. That's what's happened. Now we're all supposed to sort of stand around clapping. As a presidential candidate, Mr. Biden also promised to decriminalise cannabis use. Fulfilling that promise should be the easiest of easy calls. As a matter of principle, it's awfully hard to argue with a straight face that buying, selling or possessing a pound or two of marijuana is somehow worse than buying, selling or possessing a fifth of vodka. And as a matter of politics, it's a slam dunk. Ending the war on cannabis is wildly popular. According to a Gallup poll last year, 68% of Americans support not just pardons, but full federal legalisation. That poll found that even Republicans were split down the middle on the issue, with 50% supporting full legalisation and 49% opposing it. Other polls in the last few years have showed a somewhat larger Republican majority for legalisation. The pardons come a month before November's congressional midterm elections, which will determine the power balance in Washington for the last 2 years of Mr. Biden's term. Mr. Biden is not the first US president to pardon cannabis offenders. On his final day in office, Donald Trump pardoned 12 marijuana offenders, including some who have been jailed for life under the three strikes rule created by Mr. Biden's 1994 1994 crime bill. He invented it. He came up with it. This is basically an old man apologising by doing basically nothing for a problem that he caused. That's not cause for celebration. That's cause for radical change and recognition that the systems that we live within are incapable of doing anything other than offering us theatre with unattractive people in the lead parts.
I totally agree, again, with the decriminalization of all drugs, and I agree with that statement of, like, really thinking that it's totally fine to buy as much alcohol as you possibly can that has caused way more damage, way more deaths than marijuana has ever done. If you believe that, if that is the platform you stand on, you are a giant fucking hypocrite and your principles are fucking shaky. If you think marijuana should be illegal, then you should also think alcohol should be illegal, and I bet not see you picking up a fucking glass of wine or popping a beer open at night when you want to watch your Friday night football or some shit like that. Right? This is why I think it all should be legal, and it should just be regulated to make sure kids are protected from these substances, to make sure the correct and proper education is out there, and to make sure the shit is clean and not cut with things that is going to cause people to OD. But anyway, let's continue.
Too many lives have been upended because of our failed approach to marijuana.
Your approach was literally your own idea. Wouldn't you expect any public figure to say, and actually it's a bit ironic because I came up with it, and admitting that it's basically nothing? It's not good enough, is it? Is this good enough? As a White House candidate, Mr. Biden was criticised for writing the 1994 crime bill that stiffened penalties for drug crimes and led to more incarceration of minorities. I imagine that the reality is Joe Biden is a career politician who only became president because it was his turn. He's been in Congress for so long, he'll have deep entrenched relationships with lobbyists from across the whole array of American corporate and financial life. He will be completely incapable, due to systemic corruption, of introducing any legislation that will make any meaningful difference to the lives of ordinary American people. If your life improves as a result of a decision Joe Biden made, it's by accident. It's just by sheer coincidence. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these. Remember, turn on the...
Alright guys, that was Russell Brand. Go like, comment, and subscribe to this video and to mine. I completely agree. I love the shade in this video of Russell Brand to Joe Biden. I love it. It's like old school SNL. Yeah, I agree. Like, it's like Biden's coming out now to try to stand on the platform of the right side of history, wokeness, self-righteousness, virtue signaling of, oh, this is overly affecting people of color, where you knew that when you made the bill. So it's like, I want to correct my bill of racism by doing absolutely nothing about it whatsoever. I may kind of suggest, maybe I might ask a question eventually. I'll get back to you on that. But I want applause and accolades, and I want to be told I'm a good person for doing nothing. Anyway guys, tell me what you guys think of this video. If you actually believe that Joe Biden actually was pardoning all of these people who were arrested for marijuana charges. Do you think they should be pardoned? Do you think they should be let out of prison? Do you think marijuana or any drugs should be legalized? Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my branding membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my branding merch shop. Links down below, and links to all of the alternate platforms I'm on, including my Rumble, my Discord, my Odyssey, my Twitter, and all the other links to all of my other YouTube channels is in the links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle. I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go to the description box below. Also in the comment section, hit the link. Go subscribe to my travel vlog channel, and there follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. And you guys have an amazing day. Bye.